Hello, and welcome to the 14th and the penultimate after-action report for the Scottish Corridor campaign. The result of this battle does not influence my onward progress to the bonus mission. That is secure. The bonus battle will be the final AAR video for this campaign. Before I talk through details of battle number 14, I want to say I've greatly enjoyed creating this series. I've continued to learn about combat missions mechanics, tactics, and had a glimpse of some of the challenges the British Army faced during the period. Getting down in the weeds with the pixel trooper to film the action whilst following the entire campaign gave me a different perspective to the usual single H2H battles. I enjoyed the operational aspects I had to consider, such as unit attrition and resupply. I have a couple of H2H battles that I want to film and turn into AARs, but once those videos are complete and posted, I plan to run another campaign AAR video series like this Scottish Corridor campaign. I want to ask you, my subscribers, for any suggestions on the next campaign to document. Please let me know by posting in the comments section of this video. It can be any campaign from Battle for Normandy, Fortress Italy, Final Blitzkrieg, and even Black Sea, or any of the associated expansion modules for those periods. So, back to the Scottish Corridor campaign, and first the strategic update. The 9th Cameronians continue to defend the area of Greenville-sur-Odon and the western flank of the 15th Scottish Infantry Division's attack south. Yesterday, the 29th of June, D and C Company, together with support from the 9th Royal Tank Regiment, defended Greenville against a determined assault by the 9th SS Panzer Division. The attack was repelled, and by late afternoon the 9th Cameronians had pushed the SS back south, inflicting heavy casualties and destroying around 20 tanks. Brigade ordered the 9th to hold at Greenville and continue to defend the village. Expectations are that we will be relieved in the morning by the 43rd Wessex Infantry Division, so the 15th Scottish Division, including the 9th, can continue their advance and expand the bridgehead on the southern side of the River Odon. In reality, the campaign is drawn to an end. However, it seems the 9th SS aren't finished with the Cameronians, and reports are coming in of a second attack. I have been ordered to hold my objectives for 50 minutes, plus some variable extra time. In the battle yesterday, we held our ground, but I took heavy losses. 11 of the 15 Churchills and several towed AT guns were destroyed. On top of that, the surviving Churchills and the AT guns took crew casualties. Several of the infantry platoons also lost their Piat crews. What this means is that I expect my AT capability to be less than 40% equipment and 30% crew. D and C Company also suffered losses, with both companies now around 50 to 60% strength. On a positive note, my ammunition situation is acceptable. It's the early hours of the 30th of June, and picket forces are reporting an approaching German force from the west. They report the rumble of engines, and battalion intel suggests it's the 9th SS back again for more, this time with support from tank destroyers. Looking at the AO, we see the familiar site of Greenville. My defend objectives are the Église Saint-Pierre Church, identified as fair, and the farm buildings on the north edge of the village, identified as square. The attack is expected from the west, with support from heavy artillery. With this in mind, I plan to stage my infantry forces on my far flanks and at my rear in an attempt to avoid the worst of the bombardments. I have 17 platoon picketed forward on my left flank and 14 platoon on my right. I shall withdraw those forces straight away, leaving only a couple of soldiers in position to act as scouts to identify the attacking force and its probable main routes. Once I believe the artillery has ceased, I shall move my infantry to their defence positions. I'll need to judge when to bring my force forward to give them sufficient time to dig in and avoid the worst of the bombardments. To organise my defence, I've identified 5 key defensive lines. They are Doris, Edna, Betty, Phyllis and Peggy. It's night, and I anticipate much shorter lines of sight. A couple of days earlier in battle number 7, I fought at night and visibility was around 100 to 150 metres. So I anticipate similar conditions, potentially better as the moon is waxing. As per the last battle, I've divided my terrain into left, centre and right. Because of the reduced visibility, I cannot set up supporting fields of fire across the battlefield or look to engage at range. I have no means to close down the SS area for manoeuvre, and this means I must try to create supporting fields of fire across smaller and more closely grouped forces. I shall position one 17 and one 6-pounder towed 80 gun on defence line Doris, 2 6-pounders on Betty, a 17-pounder on the left of Peggy and 2 6-pounders on Edna. My armour and artillery support begins to arrive 10 minutes into battle. I'm advised 7, 8, 9 and 10 troop B squadron is en route, but I don't believe they've been refitted, so of 15 tanks, I expect around 4. The darkness and reduced visibility are going to be a big influence on this battle. It may or it may not be to my advantage. Everyone is ordered to put out their smokes, repack magazines and fix bayonets. I immediately start relocating my picket forces, including the 6-pounder on my right flank. The munitions Lloyd moves ahead first. The SS spare no time calling in their artillery barrage. The small respites of peace are quickly shattered. The withdrawing 17 platoon avoid the worst of the arty. It seems to be focused on the church. My first casualty. Five minutes into battle, and I have sound contacts on my left and my right flank. Most of my force is still on the fringes of the battlefield, away from the area and focus of the bombardment. I'm having to deploy 2 of my 6-pounders on defence line Betty whilst under fire from the artillery. Whilst my casualties are minimal, I can't afford to lose anyone. 10 Troop arrives, but it consists only of Sergeant Soden and Lance Corporal Menzies, 2 Churchills not fully crewed. I order them to deploy on my right flank at defence line Peggy. Mortar and artillery shells look like falling stars in the night sky. I get my first spot on armour and it looks like a damn Jagdpanther. It's basically a steel brick. The artillery barrage seems to have ceased. I start deploying D Company at defence objectives Doris and Phyllis. Meanwhile, 7, 8 and 9 Troop from the RTR arrive. It's 2 Churchills, partly crewed. I order them to advance to defence line Phyllis.
Enemy tank spotted.
On my left flank, a 17-pounder gets eyes on. A devastating hit. On my right flank, I get lots of sound contacts, but I can't see anything. The SS is advancing, but I just can't see anything. "14 platoon peer out of their foxholes into the inky black, but they can't see anything. The Piat crew hunkered down in a crater. Sound contacts a few feet away, but he can't see anything. "15 platoon sees something and opens fire. All hell breaks loose. A 6-pounder team take aim at a Jagdpanther. It bounces off. In the dark, with such poor line of sight, my crossing fields of fire just don't work. With my right flank now illuminated by burning vehicles and tracer fire, Churchill from 9 Troop opens fire. The crew has revealed itself. Lance Corporal Menzies from 10 Troop opens fire. He reveals himself and takes a hit to the turret. The 17-pounder on my left flank sees something and opens fire. It's another Jagdpanther. It disappears into the smoke of ricocheting shells. I've repelled the attack of my right flank, but I've lost defensive line Edna. 14 platoon have taken heavy casualties, including its commander. The remnants of the platoon have withdrawn to defend Objective Square, whilst 13 and 15 platoon remain on the hedgerow on the right flank. I trade artillery shells and mortar shells with the SS. After a few minutes of trading ordnance, I send out a detachment from 15 platoon to probe my right flank. It appears that Jerry is still around. A firefight on my right flank quickly ensues. In the pitch black, it's hard to see where the fire's coming from. Three Achilles tank destroyers have arrived. I position them on my right flank at defence line Peggy. I order one of my Churchills to relocate from the right flank to the centre. Fighting in the dark is sporadic and at close quarters. It's more like skirmishing than combined arms combat. In the dark, a 17-pounder confuses a Lloyd for a German half-track. I hope he's going to pay for that. On my left flank, one of the Churchills spots something and goes loud. More armour is revealed. A Stug drives into the 17-pounder in the dark. The 17-pounder crew is lost. And the 6-pounder is suppressed under heavy fire. Confusion reigns in the dark. I'm struggling to follow who sees who, and who's blowing up who. The attack on my right flank seems to have stalled. But I've lost defence line Edna. 13 and 15 platoon are repositioning to defence line Peggy and to support defending Objective Square. On my left flank, SS armour has broken through defence line Doris, and I've lost the 17-pounder. At the moment, the only AT asset I have around Doris is a single Piat team. 16 platoon have relocated from Doris to reinforce Betty, and 17th Platoon are holding at Phyllis. My concern is my left flank will fold. I also have more armour sound contacts to the west, pushing right up against Betty. I order one of the Achilles tank destroyers to support my left flank. He relocates from Peggy, rolling south towards Phyllis. Lance Corporal Smithy, with the Piat, goes looking for armour. And walks straight into a stug. Which is supported by a second stug, which is taken out by a support team that had stolen a Piat from one of the carriers. Meanwhile, the Achilles pushes south through the orchard. And takes out the first stug. A support team tried to protect the 6-pounder that is at defence line Doris, facing west. I lose the relocated Achilles. So I order a second one south to defend the left flank. The command team with the stolen Piat starts to withdraw. Cooking shells exploding in the dark night. I continue to skirmish on my left flank around defence line Doris. But I think I'm losing this sector. A half-track rolls over the 6-pounder at Doris. There's just too much armour on my left flank, including a Jagdpanther. SS infantry have pushed through and past Doris, and I'm now defending from Phyllis. I look to relocate 18 platoons of Piat, and I lose them. My last Piat. The SS are now pushing against defence line Phyllis, and I'm getting caught in enfilade fire. I'm now starting to lose defence line Phyllis. 18 platoon are defending the churchyard and defence line Betty. I tried to use the second relocated Achilles to shore up defence line Phyllis. But it's hit and the crew bails. Meanwhile, armour has rolled right up to defence line Betty, and I've got no answer. I order whatever is left of 18 platoon to abandon objective fair. I've lost defence line Doris, Betty and Edna, and I'm abandoning the objective fair. Much of the fighting for defence line Phyllis is close quarters in the dark. I order the 3rd Achilles to probe forward on my right flank, looking to see if I can get enfilade line of sight on defence line Betty. C Company spread out across objective square. I can hear German voices in the dark. The SS again push on defence line Phyllis. I try to recrew the abandoned Achilles. But there's just too much German armour. An hour into the battle, and the last minutes tick down. I've lost objective fair, defence lines Betty, Doris, and Phyllis, and Edna. What you see up there in the top left corner of the map is some abandoned universal carriers. I've withdrawn D Company from objective fair. Lieutenant Thompson of 16 platoon and a detachment from 2 section 16 platoon are surrounded at objective fair, and I can't get them out. After an hour of battle, the result is a British Army tactical victory. Not to sound pedantic or ungrateful, but I should not have got a victory in this battle. If we look at the results, I have secured objective square, failed to secure primary objective fair, and failed to ensure my force stays combat effective based upon casualty rates. I totally agree with these objective results. Looking at the SS, they failed to secure either of the terrain objectives and failed to limit their casualties. They received 0 victory points. If we take a look at the map, let's see the full situation. You can see the disposition of the forces, and the SS have well and truly secured objective fair and pushed past, taking defence line Phyllis. I have remnants of 18 platoon on the objective, but they're surrounded and isolated. They're only there because I couldn't get them out. It wasn't a gamey attempt to secure a win, simply an attempt to keep them in hard cover. Sadly, it ended up resulting in a gamey win and depriving the SS the objective. I don't know the value of the church to the SS, but if it was a primary objective for me, I expect it to be worth more than the 150 victory points to the SS, so really this should have been a victory to the SS, and I'll take this into consideration when we see the final campaign result. Just skimming over the battlefield, we can see the armour here on the left flank. We can see my 17 pounder and here the 6 pounder, both at defence line Doris. You can see the German armour that pushed through Doris. They're the two Stugs taken out by the Piat teams. Yeah, this one dismounted, so that was hit by Smithy, I think. In hindsight, different tactics maybe, different setup. I could have maybe pushed further forward to try and engage the SS closer to their start point, further away from the two objectives. But I think the main thing here is, if we see here what's active, they really do have overwhelming armour, since I'd lost so many in the previous battle, so many of the Churchills. And they had two Jägerpanthers, which I was never going to destroy with the Churchills. This was a very enjoyable battle. The limited visibility was frustrating, but it made the whole scenario tense. Knowing I was against a numerically superior force added to the excitement, and with the illumination from the burning vehicles and the gunfire, it had a lot of atmosphere. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave your thoughts on the battle in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you all soon for the final battle in the Scottish Corridor campaign. It's the bonus battle against, spoiler alert here, the King Tiger.